Katie Logan sat in her spacious office at Spencer Publications with a cold fury coursing through her veins when she finally laid eyes on the dossier spread across her mahogany desk. Grainy yet unmistakable photographs of Taylor Hayes, disheveled but unmistakably in Dr. Deacon Sharp's guest suite. The satin sheets tangled around her legs as Deacon reached out to brush her hair back. At first, Katie had hesitated to believe the whispers. After all, Taylor was Ridge's one true love, the woman whose wedding to him Brooke Logan had spent months scheming to destroy. But the evidence was irrefutable. The fee invoices from Griffin Investigations, signed with Brooke's discreet initials, the encrypted wire transfers from Brooke's account to the PI Shell Corporation, and the timestamps matching the very night Ridge was due to say, "I do," at the Forrester estate. Katie's jaw clenched as she scrolled through the transaction records on her laptop, confirming that the rent for the suite had been paid in full by Brooke's credit card just hours before Taylor had checked in under a false name. Every detail betrayed Brooke's guile: the fake hotel registration, the planted key card left behind to ensure Taylor's overnight stay would be captured on surveillance footage. Brooke had orchestrated every step, convinced that a single compromising image of Taylor with Deacon Taylor, the compassionate psychiatrist Taylor, the mother of Finn's children, would shatter Ridge's faith in his bride-to-be and drive him back into Brooke's waiting arms. Katie's heart ached at the cruelty of it, the ruthless ambition that had poisoned her own sister's mind, but she steeled herself against sentiment. Brooke had crossed a line, and Katie would be damned if she allowed another innocent, to say nothing of her friend Taylor, to become collateral damage in Brooke's endless war for Ridge's heart. With each new photograph that appeared on her screen, Katie's resolve hardened. She drafted the front-page exposé, headline gleaming in bold, "Brooke's Betrayal, Logan's Scheme to Sabotage Wedding Exposed." She had contacted her most trusted editor, Nora Spencer, instructing her to hold the presses, but to be ready to run the story at a moment's notice. The clock was ticking. Newsrooms across Los Angeles would pounce on the scandal. The Forrester name would be dragged through tabloids and television news shows, and Brooke's reputation, already tarnished by her many entanglements with Ridge, would lie in ruins. Katie knew her sister would plead innocence or claim it was all a misunderstanding, but the receipts didn't lie. Brooke had paid a private eye $20,000 for photos designed to manipulate Ridge's emotions, to make Taylor seem unfaithful, to break their bond the moment they stood at the altar. And now Katie would use that same weapon, public exposure, to force Brooke to confess her guilt or face public disgrace. That afternoon, Katie summoned Brooke to her office under the pretense of discussing a charitable gala partnership. Brooke arrived in a silk blouse and designer slacks, her smile warm but eyes too cautious as she stepped into the glass-walled conference room. Katie closed the door behind her, flipped open her laptop, and projected the first image onto the big screen. Taylor, hair tousled, hand on Deacon's chest. Brooke's color drained from her cheeks as Katie's voice, low and measured, filled the silent room. "These are from Monday night at the Blue Water in Suite 304. You paid for that room, Brooke. You hired Griffin Investigations to photograph Taylor with Deacon. Why, Brooke? Ridge was hours away from marrying her." Brooke opened her mouth, but no words came. Her lips trembled, eyes darting between the screen and Katie's steely gaze. Katie continued without mercy, "I have bank records, wire transfers, hotel receipts, enough to convict you of fraud and defamation, and enough to publish in tomorrow's Spencer Press. You have 24 hours to come clean, to tell Ridge the truth yourself, or I'll run this story on page 1. Brooke swallowed, her voice a whisper. "Katie, please. I never meant for any of this to hurt Taylor. It was just supposed to be a warning, a scare tactic. I was desperate, you have to understand." Katie leaned forward, fingers steepled. "You were reckless. You risked someone's reputation, someone you once called a friend, to trap her in a lie. If you want me to hold this back, You'll admit what you did in writing to Ridge and Taylor before noon tomorrow. Otherwise, I send this to the printers at midnight." Brooke's shoulders sagged as she realized the gravity of her betrayal, her mind racing to calculate how to repair the damage. Across town, Taylor Hayes would soon learn of the plot meant to destroy her happiness. Ridge Forrester would discover that the woman he had trusted above all had stooped to entrapment, and Deacon Sharp, ever the repentant doctor, would be dragged into yet another scandal. Katie watched Brooke's trembling form as the final seconds of their meeting ticked away, the unspoken threat hanging heavy in the air. 24 hours. A deadline that would decide whether a sister's deception would be exposed to the world or confessed behind closed doors. In that moment, Katie felt the weight of responsibility press down on her, the power to destroy a reputation, the power to spare an innocent woman further betrayal. But above all, she felt the fierce love of a friend determined to protect Taylor's honor, a love that would not let Brooke's ambition go unchecked. As Brooke rose to leave, tears glistening in her eyes, Katie closed her laptop with a decisive click and said, "Remember the time." And with that, Brooke stepped into the hallway, her future poised on the edge of confession or calamity, while Katie Logan returned to her desk, already drafting the final edits to the story that would rock Los Angeles, unless prevented by a truth finally laid bare. In the sultry heat of early July, the world of Forrester Creations and the Spencer clan braces itself for the most explosive turn yet in the bold and the beautiful as Will Spencer steps into the fray with evidence so damning it threatens to shatter Luna Nozawa's freedom and thrust her into the unforgiving glare of the law, only for Luna to unleash a ruthless Plan B that will turn Steffi Forrester Finnegan's terror into an international spectacle before anyone can catch her. It all began when young Will, ever the inquisitive mind and eager to protect his Aunt Steffi and his father Liam, found himself suspicious of Luna's too casual demeanor around the Hayes, Forrester, Finnegan beach house. He donned a small clip-on recorder and planted it beneath the eaves of the sunlit foyer, a move born of equal parts teenage vigilance and desperation after hearing whispers of Luna's plotting. What he captured in that tiny device was nothing short of chilling. Luna's low, chilling vow that the moment she confirmed Will was eavesdropping, "You think you can hide, Spencer?" She snarled into the grainy microphone. She would draw that pistol and put an end to him. Will's hand shook as he pressed the stop button, his pulse pounding louder than the crashing waves outside, but his mind snapped into action. He knew that whatever Steffi faced behind closed doors at that very moment, his recording was the key to bringing Luna to justice. He raced down the winding coastal road, recorder clenched in his fist, driving straight to the Los Angeles PD headquarters and demanding to speak with Deputy Chief Bradley Hot Dog Baker himself. Despite Baker's smug confidence that Luna Nozawa, a woman wanted for double homicide and kidnapping, was halfway behind bars already, the moment he heard Will's recording he froze, eyes widening at the cold certainty in Luna's voice. Within the hour, detectives had obtained a warrant, flashing bright lights across Luna's last known hideout and flooding the beach community with patrol cars and forensic teams. The rumor mill churned. Had Luna's reign of terror finally met its match in the voice of an urchin Spencer kid? Yet whispers of victory were premature, because as law enforcement closed in, Luna, cornered and wild-eyed, triggered Plan B, a digital assassination plot that would weaponize Steffi's worst nightmare against her. While the police scrambled to locate Luna and Steffi's beach house escape route, Luna's fingers danced across her phone screen to upload the single most harrowing video the daytime world has ever witnessed, seconds of screaming terror. Steffi's voice choking in tears as she begged for her life, Luna's silhouette looming ominously in the wavering sunlight. The clip began with Steffi's desperate plea, "Please, Luna, don't make me die today," and cut away just before the shot rang out, leaving the outcome tantalizingly unknown. Luna released it to every social media platform she could reach: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and within moments the video was trending worldwide. Hashtags like hashtag Save Steffi and hashtag Luna No Mercy flooding screens everywhere. Viewers recoiled as Steffi's floral dress billowed and her hands shook, her status shifting from beloved matriarch to viral victim in the blink of an eye. Memes sprang up mocking her tears, pundits debated whether it was a stunt or a genuine plea, and late-night talk shows dissected every frame with ghoulish relish. Meanwhile, back at the beach, Ridge Forrester and Liam Spencer, frantic after Will's credible tip and Baker's call to action, skidded up the driveway in Ridge's convertible, sirens wailing in the distance. They burst through the front door only to find the living room empty, sand strewn across the hardwood floor, the faint echo of Steffi's sobs lingering in the hush. A single camera on a tripod, its lens cracked, spun slowly on its mount, the memory card missing. Ridge's heart stopped as he realized Luna had been here, and seconds later the front door slammed shut, locking itself with a soft click that resonated like doom. They pounded on the glass, screaming Steffi's name, but inside, Steffi Forrester Finnegan was alone with her terror and the unthinkable knowledge that her worst nightmare was now playing out for the entire world to see. Steffi, who had once commanded rooms with her strength and poise, now sat curled in a corner of the bedroom, knees drawn to her chest, heart thundering so loud she feared it might burst her eardrums. Luna's chilling message blared from Steffi's own phone, notifications pinging incessantly as the clip tore across every feed, and Steffi realized that not only was her life in peril, but her dignity and privacy had been publicly traded for Luna's vengeance. She reached out, hands shaking, to silence the onslaught of pings, but each new alert brought fresh humiliation, trending counts, view tallies, the relentless tick of public consumption. She thought of her children, of Finn's protective arms, of her family's legacy of resilience, and wondered if any of it would matter once the world had watched her terror. Behind her, a floorboard creaked, and she spun to see Luna stepping into the doorway, eyes alight with triumphant madness, pistols still warm as though recently fired. "You should have begged harder, Steffi," Luna snarled, voice clipped by adrenaline, stepping forward as though she expected the video to be justification enough for murder. The world needed to see her fear. Steffi's breath caught as she realized that if Luna so much as squeezed the trigger again, it would be the final frame of a horror that had already gone viral. She forced herself to stand, chest heaving, to hold Luna's gaze with the calm of a seasoned warrior who had faced darker storms. "This ends now, Luna," she whispered, words stiff with resolve, even as her voice cracked. "You've dragged me through hell, but you'll never break me." Back at PD headquarters, Will Spencer stood before a bank of monitors, eyes scanning the news feeds that now displayed live coverage of Luna's video and the breaking story of her imminent arrest. By all rights, the police should have moved in minutes ago. Blue lights and SUVs were visible through the rain-streaked windows as officers mobilized, but every second that passed was another moment for Luna's plan B to metastasize. Will's stomach turned as he watched reporters speculate whether Steffi was still alive, pundits question her sanity, strangers comment on her tears as though she were a character in a drama rather than a flesh-and-blood woman begging for mercy. He slammed his fist on the table, drawing the annoyed glance of Deputy Chief Baker, but Will held up his recording device again, voice shaking as he demanded that the task force act now, that they breach the beach house before Luna could kill or escape. "She's live-streaming her plan to murder my aunt and then burn down the place," he yelled, and at last Baker nodded, barking orders across the room. Squad cars roared out of the garage, sirens blurring into a cacophony that reverberated against concrete walls, and Will raced to intercept them, determined not to lose another second before his evidence saved Steffi's life. Meanwhile, across the city and across the world, the uploaded video had reached millions. Steffi's face frozen in a portrait of terror, Luna's rictus grin as victorious as any symbol of cruelty ever broadcast, and the social media juggernaut rolled on, unstoppable, as though the truth of Steffi's suffering were entertainment rather than a crime in progress. Inside the claustrophobic beach house, the first police teams arrived a heartbeat too late to prevent Luna from raising her gun, but just in time to see Ridge Forrester and Liam Spencer wresting Luna's arm away from Steffi as shots raked the walls. Luna screamed, stumbling back, the barrel of her gun smoking with each near miss as officers ducked for cover and orders rang out in fractured shouts. In the chaos, Ridge shoved Steffi behind the low-set kitchen counter. Liam pressed himself against Luna's other side, disarming her in a blur of adrenaline-fueled strength. A single gunshot echoed as Luna tried to pull free, but the firearm clattered to the floor, and a squad officer tackled her, cuffs snapping into place. Steffi rose, knees shaking, as Ridge and Liam guided her to safety, paramedics rushing past to tend to Luna's minor wounds sustained during the scuffle. The entire scene. Guns, uniforms, anguished reunion played out beneath the last rays of the setting sun, and for a moment it felt as though time had returned to normal. But beyond the walls of that beach house, Luna's Plan B continued to metastasize. The video, now edited with flashing headlines and question overlays, whipped around the globe, aggregators proclaiming Steffi's final plea and Luna's reign of terror live, spreading like wildfire across screens of every size. In the aftermath, Will Spencer stood on the sandy bluff above the beach house, recorder in hand, watching as news choppers circled overhead and the tide of media attention washed over the shoreline. He felt a complex swell of relief and revulsion from the depths of his pride in having helped bring Luna to justice, to the sorrow that his aunt's most vulnerable moment had become fodder for clickbait and commentary. Steffi approached him then, sandal straps dangling around her bare feet, face smeared with tears and sand, eyes red but fierce with gratitude. She pressed her hand to his and whispered, "You saved me," but Will shook his head, his gut twisting. "I hope you know no matter what they play on those screens, you're more than that video," he said, voice trembling. Steffi nodded, her tears catching the last of the golden light as she looked out at the Pacific horizon, thinking of Finn, her children, and the life she'd nearly lost to a monster's obsession. "I'll fight to make sure they learn the truth," she vowed, "and that my story isn't just a viral clip." Around them, the media circus raged, reporters shouting questions, phones held aloft, drones buzzing like mechanical flies. But on that bluff father and son stood, the recorder's battery spent but its memory intact, a testament to the idea that sometimes justice arrives not with a bullet but with the whisper of a saved file. As night fell, the beach house lights dimmed, and the world's eyes shifted to the next sensational headline. One thing remained clear. In the battle between villainy and virtue, it was evidence, and the courage to stand by it, that turned the tide, and Steffi Forrester Finnegan, though captured in her moment of terror, would emerge not as a helpless victim, but as a survivor determined to reclaim her narrative from the clutches of vengeance and spectacle.